So welcome to day 3. This is our Heal, Detox, Transform roadmap. And I am super excited to take you through that after we talk to Patricia. And Patricia is soon to be one of our WiseMind Soul Warrior graduates. So tell us for a minute, Patricia, what brought you to WiseMind Soul Warrior, right? So what were you kind of dealing with at the time that brought you to the program? And then I want to kind of talk a little bit about what your transformation and your healing experience was like during the training.
Sure. So just a quick little background. I found Jenny actually by seeing an advertisement on Facebook, for her for one of her programs that she did, her free programs last May of 2022. And at that time, my husband was actually healing and kind of like, he was a 2-time cancer survivor. He had gone through a second surgery or already gone through chemo. So that had been a very high emotional about year and a half. And then, a couple years before that, I actually had lost my mother-in-law. So those were like the really big things that were more recent that I had been dealing with. And so I was just like, I saw the advertisement for Jenny and I was like, this sounds really cool, like heal your inner critic and like figure out what's going on with trauma, that kind of stuff too. So I was like, I was actually, I found it and one of my best friends, actually, she's a YTT graduate, and she was like, let's do it together. And I'm like, sure. So let's give it a try. And then I ended up, it was just so fulfilling, like, learning the different breath works, whether it was 3-part breath or Nadi Shodhana. And you were just so welcoming. I was like, okay, I got to see what's going on. So then, because I knew that I had some things going on, and obviously dealing with a lot of grief and a lot of trauma and just, medical problems with my husband. Because when you see someone go through, through that, it's really, really tough. But just a quick little short thing. He just had his 6-month checkup and he's still cancer free now. So just a little FYI. So that definitely, it's been a good week the last few days because we've got some good news on Tuesday. So.
Well, good. Congratulations. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
So yeah, you were going through a lot. And if we have time later, we may not have time because I know you only have till 12:30. So that's why I'm trying to limit what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. If we have time later, we'll talk about the retreat, but share with us what your transformation and healing has been like during the program, and where have you seen different areas of change? Because I think that's the most like traumatic, or not traumatic, but the most important to people is to hear like, what was your transformation and healing that happened during the program? And what are some things that you've seen change around? Could be stress resilience. It could be being more calm in your relationships. It could be perfectionism, overworking, whatever the different samskara patterns and the things that you've seen, how you've seen yourself change since we started.
Sure. So when I first started the program, May of last year, I definitely was one of those, I've got to go. Like, I've got to keep moving. I've got to do all the things, it's like, I'm not a mother, but, I'm a corporate woman. I've been a wife for almost 18 and a half years and, trying to stay in touch with everybody because, we don't live near family. So definitely it was a very, very high stress. So as I started the modules, it just kind of helped me to step back and to reflect. I did a lot of comparison with myself and other women, especially saying, gosh, am I as pretty as her? Or am I good enough? Am I a good enough wife? Am I a good enough friend? So by going through the modules and the LMS and, just getting into more of a routine, yoga, practice and meditation has really helped, because before that I was like, hardcore CrossFitter. I was doing CrossFit, high stress, like high cortisol, like kind of killing myself in the gym 6 to 7 days a week. And I was like, this is just not working. And then getting to understand like, how the hormones affect it, and just being able to say, what, self-care is so important, and being able to reflect and do the right thing for yourself. Because if you're not doing the right thing for yourself, how are you going to be there for your husband? How are you going to be there for your friends or your family? So I know that was a big part for me. And then just, let's see, I guess I used to compare myself a lot, especially to other ladies in the gym and that kind of stuff. And when I found yoga, like, I mean, yeah, I started doing yoga maybe about once a week or so when I first started. And then maybe it was like once or twice. And I'd say for the last maybe 3 or 4 months, I've been doing consistently 2 to 3 days. And then I actually did a kind of month of January, like 30-day yoga thing, which was really cool and just kind of nice that. And it's, and my meditation practice isn't perfect, but as I learned from you, Jenny, everyone, I'm perfectly imperfect. And I love the wise mind method because it's not about being stringent and steel and, oh my gosh, what if my mind wanders? Well, that doesn't matter. It's like, it's a learning process, and you got to peel back the layers. And I'm still working on it because, it really is kind of a lifelong journey, but I've become so passionate about it. Because it's helped me so much, and it's helped me get through the grief of losing my mother-in-law, and, helping, my husband to, deal with, all of his cancer stuff and all the ups and downs of the emotional roller coaster. And you never know, some of these people listening live or listening on the replay may have had a family member or a spouse or a parent, go through cancer, and it's tough. So, but I can sit here and I feel it welling up a little bit as I talk about it. But I tell you what, just a quick little segue. When I first got on a consultation with Jenny, it was so easy. Like, I felt like I literally was talking to a friend, and I felt so comfortable with her when I was talking about my mother-in-law. Like, I actually broke down into tears, and because I was like, this is a safe space. Like, I didn't feel intimidated. I was like, she wants to help. And she's like, yep. She's like, you don't have to necessarily want to teach yoga. And so I joined it, as being part of the corporate world. I've been in dentistry for almost 15 years. And then being able to know that this is just going to help me, and it's going to help me to help my husband and help friends. And I love sharing different things. And, like my best friend and I talk about this. She's like, hey, which module are you on now? What are you learning? What's your favorite part? So it's so fun to kind of nerd out on this stuff is what I call it, just because it was such a blessing to find you. And it's definitely made a huge difference. And I'm not 100% healed, believe me, but it's like, I've come a long ways from where I was. And, it's like, and I realize I don't have to be perfect, because you really don't. You've got to realize that you've got to show up for yourself, and you've got to, and if you take a little stumble backwards, you take some deep breaths, and you move forward.
Well, girl, you just said it. Somebody in the chat just said, Patricia, preach, like, in a good way, in an inspirational way. And that means, it gives me so much joy. And I know you know this, and I know you've heard me say this, and I'll continue to say it, because it does bring me so much joy, to be able to watch every single transformation and healing. And I'm getting goosebumps again talking about this, because I am so passionate about it. And I know that you know me well enough, right? Because we've interacted, we've met at the retreat. I'm real, right? I do really care and love, care about and love my students. And so that's why, I almost have to do making sure I keep that in check, because the shadow side of the heart chakra is overgiving. So I love my students so much, I have to actually make sure I'm keeping it in check, if that makes sense, or I will overgive myself so much to the point of burnout, if that makes sense, because I do love and care so much. And that it means so much when I hear it from you and other students that say the same thing consistently about feeling like they're in a safe space, in a non-judgmental space, every time they talk to me, every time they get on a consultation. Anybody who shares this says the exact same thing, because they felt that sense of non-judgment and compassion and love. And so I just want to reiterate that on a couple things that you said. Is one, for those of you that do want to connect with me and get on a consultation, that again, there is no pressure, right? I'm literally going to just talk to you about, here's what's happening right now. Here's some things I'm struggling with. Here's where I'd like to go potentially in 2023. And then here's some things in the program that may help you. Does this make sense for us to work together, right? So it's meant to be a two-way, right? Where I'm kind of figuring out, is the student also ready, right? Because no one's ever 100% ready, right? But the point is, there's a scale of readiness, if that makes sense. And you want to be kind of in that middle, there's a scale of 1 to 10. You probably want to be somewhere between a 4 and a 10. You know what I mean? If you're way down over here to the point where you aren't functioning, do you know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure that somebody is ready, but I'm also here to encourage them and inspire them and motivate them to go forward and to have these tools, because I know that no matter what somebody's going with, and I've had many people, ironically, actually, that were dealing with grief when we connected. And Nate is on with us, actually. He's going to be one of our first male students. And he was dealing with grief when we met. Lindsay was dealing with grief when we met. There was multiple other people. So I could have, and I'm getting goosebumps again talking about this, we could have a whole masterclass on grief and heartbreak. And maybe at some point, that's a topic that I need to talk about, because it's an important one. And there is so much around yoga psychology and yoga that you can do around healing the heart space and healing the heart chakra. And that's such an important part of the grieving process, is that somatic mind body healing, if that makes sense. It goes well beyond just talking about your grief, because it lives, grief, especially because it's such a heavy emotion, lives in the body, as you know, and it will manifest in some way if it's not released. And I want to say, like, I'm so proud of you. Like, that makes me so happy, like, to hear you talk about, like, the perfect feeling, perfectly imperfect, and that you're actually practicing that, and that you're living it, and that you're seeing a difference, like you said, when you're in the gym and you're not comparing yourself to other women as much anymore. Like, that makes me so happy, because you've heard me say this, and I'll say it again, that we're each 100% unique. And you just said it, perfectly imperfect. And so when you start shifting your mindset, whether you're a man or a woman, especially women though, have a tendency more to compare themselves, that when you tune into that perfectly imperfect and you are unique, there is no comparison. So then you start to live that and practice that. And then you feel more radically accepted in yourself and truly loving yourself, if that makes sense. So, from a learning perspective around, like, if somebody was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing WiseMind, yoga program, what would you tell that student? Like, if they came to you and they asked you to do the program, what would you tell that student?
I would reiterate what you just said, saying that you definitely jump on a call with Jenny, because the two of you together can figure out if you're ready for this type of stuff, or you literally like in the weeds still. And then you just have to kind of take it step by step. It's not necessarily going to be a great for every person if you're not ready and you're not at that point. You have to be ready to truly want to make a change. You have to be self-acknowledging, saying, hey, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this to help my family, to help myself, etc. So, but it's definitely like using the LMS, just to kind of go into a little bit, was super simple. Everything's laid out like line by line. It worked out great because a lot of the videos, like, I could listen to it like when I was driving to go see a client or something like that. So like it's easy to kind of multitask, so you can fit it in kind of in between things. Listen to it on a lunch hour, listen to it in the morning when you first get up, or later on. But it's nice because it's self-paced, so you can kind of go at your own pace. But then when you have questions, you can reach out to your mentor. We can reach out to you. We've got those. You have the guest speakers that come on that specialize in different things that you can ask questions with, or we can reach out if we have questions. The mentorship calls are really cool because you get a chance to be in a small group. You get to know these ladies very well. I actually still have a group text chat, with with the ones that were in mine. We were actually just texting this morning, and it's nice to get to know so many of these wonderful people and be able to make connections. There's a gal that was in Alaska that was part of my mentorship group. There's a girl in Nashville, another girl that's here in Colorado, just like I am. So it's neat to see like all these different people coming together, but just being so supportive and saying, oh, I had this happen. Oh, you know what? I've had this happen too. Or like, this is kind of what I did. And just like, it's such a community. And that's one part that I love. And then getting to meet all the wonderful ladies at the retreat was great too, just because I've, met people from all over the country that way as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was amazing. And I'm so glad that you said that, Patricia, because that has been definitely one of the reasons why I started the program. There are many, many reasons, but that was definitely one of them, is wanting to build a sense of community and a sense of connection and a place where women and men can support each other, right? And so that makes me so happy, like, you know, when I get that feedback that people are feeling that sense of connection. And I also wanted to share too that from the retreat perspective, that was amazing because we actually took multiple cohorts from last year and we brought them all together last summer. And so we were able to do a fire transformation ceremony, which is very powerful, where you actually write a letter to, you know, either a situation, a samskara pattern you want to leave. A lot of people write it like a letter to their, you know, perfectionist, dear perfectionist. It could be like something from your childhood that you want to let go of, but you basically, or it could be emotion. It could be the emotion of anger that you want to release. And so you write yourself the letter, and then we go around in a circle and people share their letter and then they burn it in the fire. So that is probably one of the most powerful things that we do in that weekend is the transformation of fire ceremony. And so, yeah, we're looking at doing another retreat. I told you probably most likely it's going to be in Sedona, but I don't have it finalized yet and where it's going to be and when it's going to be, but most likely it will be in Sedona, California. But I'm considering Florida, but more than likely it'll be on the West Coast. So yeah, so it'll be a different location than last year. But last year was amazing. And we had it at a different location in Asheville the year before. It was in another location. So we'll see if I'll go back to, you know, if I'll revolve, you know what I'm saying? Like if like 2024, I end up going back to where I started, do you know what I mean? It'd be interesting because I still work with Ramesh and he's still part of the program. Obviously, he's one of the guest speakers and he's one of my teachers. And that was a vegan-based weekend is what that was. So he's very much still one of my teachers and he'll still continue to be part of the program. And he's in the program, as you know. Ramesh is one of our beautiful, like many of our guest speakers that we have. I'll just mention that really quick. And Ramesh has got somewhere between 30 and 40 years of experience with yoga, meditation, detoxing, juicing. He's not a huge like vegan per se, but he's very much like plant-based, like living plant-based. I kind of have the same philosophy. I don't push people into being vegan. It's more like living a healthy, holistic lifestyle of trying to eat as much like non-processed stuff as possible. You know, even if you're living like a paleo diet where you're eating, you know, grass-fed meat with lots of vegetables and fruits, or do you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't try to say like you have to be vegan to be healthy. There's a lot of different ways because everybody is different and everybody has a different constitution and dosha, which is something else we get in the wellness module. That's another part of the self-discovery process is figuring out how do I need to eat? And that can also change based on different health conditions you have going on, and your age with your age can change too. What might have worked for you in your 30s may not work for you in your 40s or 50s. Does that make sense? So as far as the experience, though, let's just chat because I know we have a few more minutes here. Like, again, I'd like to hear anything else that you would want to share around just the program in general, the retreat, or the connections you've made with other women, because the crazy part, as you know, there were women, like you said, from all over the place. Like, we had Minnie from California. We had Courtney wasn't able to make it, but she's from Arizona. We had Christina from Alaska, which couldn't make it, but she's looking at for future retreats, by the way. So I've already talked to her about that. We've got a few people actually in the training from another cohort in Florida, 2 people in Florida. We've got Stephanie in Tennessee. We've got Tara in Kentucky. Kim, it's up in Massachusetts. I know there's others, but the point is they're literally all over the country at this point. And we've got Archana that's up in Maryland, who's one of our mentors. Chrissy's in North Carolina, and Lindsay. But also wanted to say that's one of the reasons why I went online, because I wanted to be able to take this to more people. I didn't want it to just be limited only to North Carolina. So that was one of probably the most pertinent reasons why I went online, because I wanted to get this out to more people. And I'm very blessed that I have been able to. And so that's what we're continuing to do. And so like what resonates for you, Patricia, and how you're going to teach, and maybe that's meditation or breath work or mindfulness, yoga, psychology, however you decide. And you and I will continue to chat about how you want to put this out into the world. Each of you are going to be unique, right? Because you each have your own unique story, right? You have your own unique healing and transformation journey, just like I do, right? You have your unique story. And so you're going to continue to tune into what is that story for you, and how do you share that so you can help other people with that, that will resonate with that story. Does that make sense? So if there's anything else you want to share around that, like, I don't know how much you got into your signature story in module 5, or if there's anything that you want to share. I know you mentioned, your story with your husband and your mother-in-law and those things, but I don't know if there's anything else that's kind of popped up for you, like if you were able to do any of that, my why, Sankopa, signature story stuff yet, or if you've not gotten into that stuff yet.
I haven't gotten into it real thoroughly just yet. But that's something obviously that I will be working on. And just kind of like when you and I first talked, I joined not really with the intention of teaching or sharing this information, but like literally a month or two in, I was like, I can't keep this to myself. Cause I mean, it's just, and you can't unlearn what you learn. And now it's just so awesome. I was like, I love being able to share little tidbits with ladies when I see them at the gym. And like, speaking of that, so I'm working with the owner to maybe possibly of my gym that I go to now to possibly maybe coach there, even if it's a couple times a month. And, I've got some space at the house. Can't really do outside backyard yoga just yet because we've got snow on the ground here. But that's something I'll definitely probably try to look into maybe in the next few months. But I just kind of want to get things a little bit more wrapped up, and, going through the, module 5 and 6 helped me to really, kind of redefine like what I was looking for, because I actually, my position was eliminated back in November, and I was kind of interviewing for some different things. And I'm just like, you know what? I just don't really think that that's really what I want to do. So I did a lot of, it gave me a time to, to do some deep soul searching and like, hey, what is my Dharma? What do I really want to do? What is my purpose? So it's like, what, if I do this particular thing, I'm going to be taking steps backwards. So I'm going to hold out. I'm going to just kind of bide my time. I did some temping, and then I got some great news. I actually accepted a position earlier this week where I'm going to be able to work full-time remotely from home, and I'm still going to be working in the dental field, which is super awesome. So I'm still going to be able to, get to know dentists and their teams and educate them on different things. And I'm really excited. And it's nice that like, even when I was going through the interview process for this particular job, they're like, well, what do you do when you feel stressed? Or what do you do when you're not, getting the answers that you want? And I was like, to be honest with you, I do like take some deep breaths or some 3-part breaths. So or before I got on my working interview last week, like, I did some yoga meditation, and then I played a song of mine that really talked to and I was like, all right, you got this, girl, let's do this. So it's just, yeah, it's kind of just come full forward, full fold. So I'm definitely very grateful. And I'm very grateful that you did come online, because if you wouldn't have, I never would have found you. I never would have found this program. I wouldn't have gotten to meet, all these wonderful ladies from all over the country. And I've still been able to keep in contact with quite a few of them, and getting to see them, post their journey on Facebook. And I'm just like, oh, way to go. And that, it's fun because we're all kind of each other's cheerleaders. And so we get to make it kind of corny, but it's amazing to be able to be there to support women, and then women are supporting each other. So.
Yeah. Well, I know, me, like, again, because you've seen me in action, right? You've seen me at the retreat, and you know that I'm all about like women supporting other women, right? I'm all about like every single human, right? Women especially, but every human, like living in their full purpose, like letting go and healing the things that don't serve them anymore, so that they can show up in their purpose. because you've heard me talk about this, and I'll talk about it again, that I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now on this live, and you wouldn't be on here either, probably, if you hadn't done the work that you've done over the past 6 months, 8 months, right? Like you probably wouldn't have felt comfortable, because this is outside both our comfort zones, right? We're sitting here on a live, right? Like just having a conversation like it's you and I. But I can tell you, 5 years ago, I started doing lives, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't like me feeling comfortable, like I'm having conversation. Like, it's not that I don't ever get nervous, but it's very like minimal now because I've been doing it. But when I first got on, again, there's that perfectly imperfect. I just got on and started talking, and I was just like, I got to get this out to people. And it wasn't about me. It was about me being a messenger and being a vessel for my story and how it helped me. And like you just said, like you had to get it out to people. That's how I felt. And so that's why I started the programs that I had. I was like, I cannot not share this. So yeah, there's a lot of passion here, as you can tell. I know you know that, Patricia, because you've seen me in action. And you probably can tell right now, like, it's like, I believe in what I do. I do. I believe in what I do. And I wouldn't just teach or coach or be here for something that I didn't believe in, because I've seen it work in myself and all the students that we've worked with. So, well, girl, I know you need to go. I did want to let you know that I am planning on singing tomorrow morning, or not tomorrow morning, Saturday morning. So FYI on that, I know you're trying to make it if you can. I am planning on singing. I'll still take you guys through a guided meditation, but I'm going to be adding a little bit of singing too. So just FYI, I know you like when I do that. I do that a majority of the time. I don't do it every single time, but you kind of reminded me to make sure I do it the next couple of weeks so that people can see that that's part of our practice. So.
Yeah, I don't know how musically inclined any of the other people are, but like I've been a singer from a very, very young age. So I tell you what, combining like meditation, moving yoga, kind of almost like a moving meditation that you've done before with the singing. It just like, because it vibrates right at your heart. So I was like, dude, it like you want to work your heart chakra, you get your singing going, and it definitely helps.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. Let's say this last thing, I'm gonna let you go, is one of the things I'm going to be talking about in the training this year. I'll probably do it in February or March. I am going to start talking about the science of singing, and that you are actually healing your vagus nerve when you're singing, which is, as you know, part of your nervous system. And so meditation also will tune and strengthen the vagus nerve, but so does singing. And so I'm learning myself, because singing has been a coping mechanism for me my whole life, right? So music, listening to music, singing myself, singing in the shower. Again, goosebumps. Through COVID, through COVID, so now we're going on 4 years now, I started singing more and more and more, and listening to music every single day. And I would go walking in nature and I would be singing. So it wasn't just, sometimes it was listening to music, other times it was actually singing while I was walking. People probably thought I was insane. Okay. Like, it was during COVID. They probably were like, this girl's lost her mind. But the point is that I also had found myself singing while I was doing yoga in my own personal practice. And then we have been doing chanting and singing. That's been happening over the past 4 years too, as you know, at the beginning of practice. And so now I want to integrate it even more this year. And I also want to teach you guys about the science of it, because this is why it feels so good when you sing or you chant or you kind of hum affirmations, because there's a science behind it, just like there's a science of the asana, physical practice of yoga. And it does resonate your heart space. And that's what sound therapy is. And so the singing and the chanting is a form of sound therapy. And it is a holistic healing modality. It's a real science, the science of sound. And so, yeah, I'm really passionate about this too, because I have seen it move with people. Like, I've done other kirtans and calls and responses. Like, I've actually done like whole kirtan type of thing in the past. And I've seen it, how it moves people, if that makes sense. Like that singing resonates. And the thing about bhakti yoga is it's singing in devotion. So it's singing in devotion of a higher power. It can be God, a higher power, whatever you choose your belief system is. But it doesn't matter if you're out of tune. It doesn't matter what you sound like. It's all about singing in devotion. So whether you're in tune or not, it doesn't matter. So that's another one of those mindset shifts of like perfectly imperfect, right? Your yoga poses, your meditation, your breath work, your singing, it's all perfectly imperfect. And it's all meant to just resonate self-discovery and self-compassion and self-love and having a deeper connection with yourself and everybody else. I mean, that's really a bottom line of, you know, what yoga is, because you want to live your yoga off the mat and living in a place of like calm in the chaos and in a place of peace, I would say in a nutshell. I mean, that's very much narrowing it down. I think you know what I'm trying to say, where we're all about like living your yoga off the mat. Right. So, all right, lady, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. I'm so grateful. I know you're super busy, and I so appreciate everybody's time and everybody else who's on the live here and who's on Facebook group too. So I know I'm going to be talking to you soon. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Jenny.
Okay. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.